Good evening, everyone. This is Rebecca with Red True Crime. So imagine this. You have a trusted teacher, a role model, someone parents hand their child over to every single day. But behind the closed classroom doors, she's grooming and sexually exploiting a boy who hasn't even hit puberty yet. Society tells us women can't be predators, which we all know that is not true. Boys are lucky, but the truth is far darker. Today, we're diving into the hidden epidemic of adult women exploiting young boys. Sorry, I got my iPad on the side. So, and these are cases that truly shatter the stereotype. And from celebrated Teacher of the Year awards to secret pregnancies and shattered lives. So, this is Red True Crime. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Um, Keep in mind, we don't sugarcoat the darkness, but let's begin. Now, before we go any further, just a quick note. Hmm, this episode discusses child sexual exploitation. Okay, this is not an easy topic to discuss. And all the details come from public court records, news reports, and official statements. So we're going to focus on the facts, not the sensationalism at all. And if this topic is triggering, please take care of yourself, and viewer discretion is strongly advised. So the question is, why this topic? Because female perpetrated abuse against boys is one of the most underreported and misunderstood crimes in true crime. It really is. Um, for decades, cases were dismissed with jokes like hot for teacher or every boy's fantasy. I mean, I know a few guys that have been down this road, not with a teacher per se, but like an older woman when they were under the age of 18, actually a friend of their own mother, or a friend of an aunt or something like that. I mean, it's disheartening when I hear about this stuff. But victims suffer real trauma, and they get like depression, rage, substance abuse, and lifelong trust issues. Today, we'll look at the patterns, the psychology, and the devastating human cost. So, one reason that I chose this topic what and if you've been paying attention to social media at all, in the last week, there was a situation in Clinton, South Carolina, where a mother walked into her house and found a grown woman in bed with her 13-year-old son. This has completely blown up social media, and it really has brought up the topic of why aren't more people upset about this, adult woman bedding a 13-year-old boy. But we'll get more into that particular case here in a moment. So let's start with the numbers that most people don't want to hear. Studies and victim surveys consistently show that women perpetrate between 5% and 20% of all child sexual abuse cases. Now, official police reports put it lower, around 2 to 4%, but when victims are asked directly in anonymous surveys, the figure jumps significantly higher. Now, sorry. Now, boys are especially vulnerable. Research from sources like the CDC and multiple meta analysis shows that male victims are far more likely to be abused by a female perpetrator than female victims are. One German study found female perpetrators involved in nearly 10% of contact sexual abuse cases. Yeah. When I was reading this whole thing, it was just mind blowing. So, In the U.S., data from the Child Protective Services has shown female perpetrators in up to 9 to 20% of substantiated cases, depending on the state. So, why the gap? Societal blind spots. Women are seen as nurturers, caregivers, teachers, not predators. Now, boys are socialized. They should feel grateful, or that reporting many victims stay silent for years and sometimes decades. And when they do speak, they're often met with disbelief or even mockery. The result? An invisible epidemic. Experts estimate the true number could be 6 times higher than official records suggest. Grooming often happens in plain sight, in classrooms, homes, or youth programs, using authority, gifts, and emotional manipulation rather than overt force. So let's start about the first case that most people go to, and it's known as the case that shook the world, literally. Um, we're going to talk about Mary Kay Letourneau. Yeah. So Mary Kay Letourneau put this issue on the map, and this was in the late 1990s. Mary Kay was a 34-year-old married mother of 4, teaching second grade at Shorewood Elementary in Burien, Washington. Now, one of her students was a bright, artistic boy named Vili Falau, just 8 years old when they first met. Keep that in mind. 8 years old when they first met. By the time he entered 6th grade at age 12, their special bond had crossed every line. According to court records, the sexual relationship began in the summer of 1996. Mary Kay was was then 34 and had sex with the 12-year-old boy multiple times. Yeah, he was 12. I don't know what you find sexy in a 12-year-old, but okay. Not cool. So she became pregnant with her first child while awaiting trial. She pleaded guilty to 2 counts of second-degree rape of a child. Now, the judge sentenced her to 7.5 years in prison. But the story does not end there. She gave birth to a second daughter with Vili while still incarcerated. After serving her time, she married him in 2005 when he turned 21. Yeah. The couple stayed together for over a decade before separating. Now, Mary Kay passed away from cancer in 2020 at the age of 58. Now, here we go. This is them later. What makes this case so disturbing? The grooming started years earlier with extra attention, gifts, and emotional manipulation. Society's reaction? Tabloid frenzy mixed with disturbing jokes that minimize the boy's trauma. Vili later spoke publicly about the pain, but the double standard was clear. If genders were reversed, this would have been universally condemned as monstrous. And he's right. We get way more upset about young girls being manipulated by older men than we ever do about young boys being manipulated by older women. Yeah, we don't get upset about that. And that is something we need to fix. So instead, the media framed this particular case almost romantically. This case exposed how teacher/lover offenders often don't see themselves as abusers. They convince themselves it's love. Okay, next. Jacqueline Ma. So we're going to fast forward to 2025. Jacqueline Ma, age 36, was named one of San Diego County's Teachers of the Year in 2022. She taught 5th and 6th grade at Lincoln Acres Elementary, a respected educator with glowing reviews. Now, behind the award, Ma was grooming 2 young boys. Court documents detail how she used her position to exert power and control, and she bought gifts, completed homework for one victim, and sent sexually explicit messages professing love. One boy was 11 or 12, the other even younger. She pleaded guilty to forcible lewd acts on a child and lewd acts on a child and possession of child sexual abuse material. Now, in May of 2025, she was sentenced to 30 years to life in prison. In court, Ma admitted, "I abused my authority, I exerted my power and control over them, and I deceived them." Now, this case is especially chilling because it happened in an elementary school, boys who were still children, not even teenagers, and it showed the pattern. Female predators in authority positions often target prepubescent or early adolescent boys using trust and special treatment as weapons. So think about that. Let's see. Next one is Rebecca Joins. She was a British teacher. So across the Atlantic in 2024, 30-year-old UK teacher Rebecca Joins faced justice in Manchester Crown Court. She groomed two schoolboys, starting when they were just 15. Now, Joins used Snapchat and social media to build the relationships, and she had sex with both boys, becoming pregnant by one. Yeah, so a repeat of Mary Kay. Let's see. The court heard how she manipulated them with gifts and secrecy and emotional control, and she was sentenced to 6.5 years in prison. Interesting how the Brits took a stance on that. She became impregnated and got 6.5 years, whereas Jacqueline Ma, maybe because her victims were a little bit younger, but she got 30 years. So I don't know. But let's see. These modern cases prove the problem isn't ancient history. Social media has made grooming easier and faster, but the tactics remain the same: isolation, flattery, and exploiting the boys, confusion about boundaries. Then we have Madison Bergman. Closer to home for many viewers in Wisconsin, elementary teacher Madison Bergman was sentenced to 6 years in prison plus extended supervision after pleading guilty to child enticement and other felonies. The victim, an 11-year-old fifth grade boy. Reports detail how the inappropriate relationship escalated during school hours. Bergman cried in court, but the judge emphasized the breach of trust, as well as they should. We've seen dozens more in recent years, and substitute teachers, special education instructors, even coaches. The common thread: positions of authority over boys aged 11 to 16, grooming via attention, secrecy, and the myth that boys can't be victims. So let's talk about a situation that's not even about teachers. This is Micaiah Davenport. This is the 21-year-old woman who was caught in bed with a 13-year-old boy by the boy's mother. Now, there is a very explicit video going around of the mother swearing up a storm and saying all kinds of things. She slapped the woman and then called the cops. And my thing is this: I don't know if it was me in that situation as the mother, if I would have stopped at a slap. Just being honest here. I think I probably would have probably had the police peel my fingers off the woman's throat. But that's me. But she has been charged with, let's pull up that picture. There you go. There are her charges. What kills me is the mom is aghast about this woman being in bed with her 13-year-old son, but this is the 13-year-old son. You see him with a vape and a gun. I don't know. Yes, he's 13, but he's trying to act a lot older. And that woman looks a hell of a lot older than 21, but it is what it is. I guess you love who you love. I don't know. So, but that is that case. Like I said, that's the most recent one that has hit the newsstands in the last week. So let's get down to the psychology, the societal standards, and the victim impact. Why do some women do this? Research identifies the teacher/lover profile, often women in their 30s who see the boy as an emotional equal or romantic partner. Many have their own trauma histories, mental health struggles, or substance issues. Now, unlike the male predators who often use force, female offenders frequently rely on persuasion and emotional manipulation. And then you've got society's double standard makes it worse. Light sentences in some older cases, jokes online, and the lucky boy trope silence victims. Studies show male victims of female abuse report higher rates of substance abuse, self harm, rage, and relationship difficulties with women later in life. So, again, why these women do this, I have no idea. So, this isn't about gender wars. Let me make that clear. It's about protecting children, all children. Boys deserve the same protection, the same belief, the same justice. And if you or someone you know has been affected, reach out to RAINN, RAINN, local authorities, or a trusted counselor and report your suspicions. Teach boundaries because this is going way too far. He's 13. Okay. I don't get it. I mean, in the video where the mom is throwing a fit, they're in the boy's room, and you see he has sheets that have basketballs and footballs on them. Child's bed sheets. He's 13. There's a lot of things going on there. So, as I end this, protect your kids, teach boundaries. And you see a grown adult in bed with your child, shoot first, ask questions later. That's how I feel. But thank you for watching Red True Crime. Drop a like if you want more deep dive episodes on underreported cases, and comment below. Have societal attitudes toward female predators changed? And subscribe for weekly true crime that goes beyond the headlines. Stay safe out there. And until next time, stay vigilant. And as I always say, be weird, be rude, be safe. Because if you're weird and rude, they won't take you, I guarantee. So good night, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. And this is Rebecca with Red True Crime. I'm out.